You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, CBS soap opera fans. This is Soap Dirt on YouTube, and we want to talk today about Brooke Logan's sketchy past haunting her daughter, Hope Logan. This week on B&B, Brooke's past bubbles up in a couple of different conversations, and it just keeps coming back up. And this time, it is definitely going to bite her daughter. And we have to wonder if Hope is Breaking Bad. Is that happening inevitable? Is it in her Logan DNA? Is she destined to act out in ways that her mother has before? We're going to dig into this. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Bold and the Beautiful updates right here at Soap Dirt on YouTube. So this week, we see Steffy Forrester coming back to confront Hope Logan again. She is not happy about what she saw between Hope and Thomas, even though it looked like harmless hand-holding. It was more the vibe Hope was giving off, the look on her face and how happy she was to be right there with Thomas in that moment, and she was overjoyed, and Steffy read it all on her face, and she brings up Brooke Logan to Hope and basically said, I know how your mom has behaved in the past, the cheating, the breaking up of families and marriages and just this and that. I mean, we all remember Steffy Forrester calling her the slut of the valley. So this is not a secret history. It's very public back in her Brooke's bedroom days and all that. So it's not really fair, since Hope is a whole grown person, to throw Brooke Logan in her face when Hope has not shown a lot of signs of being like her mother. However, she has shown some, because remember that when Hope got pregnant with baby Beth, Liam was still with Steffy, and that was kind of a sketchy thing. Steffy had just given birth to Kelly, remember, and she and Liam were having some issues, but she was fresh off having a baby. He was meant to be supporting her, but he was banging Hope in one of the offices at Forrester, and that's how she got pregnant. So this wouldn't be totally unprecedented for Hope. She's not always been a good girl. You know, she and Steffy have fought over Liam for a long time, and Hope doesn't always play fair. You know, she is capable of low-level skullduggery. She's not, you know, an active full-time plotting schemer, but it's fair for Steffy to say, are you going to be acting like your mother? Are you going to be acting like Brooke? Are you going to pursue someone that you should not when you're married and you're supposed to be in love with Liam? So this comes hot on the heels, like moments before, of Hope thinking about having sofa nookie with Liam, and then she's again thinking about holding hands with Thomas. And Liam keeps mentioning how hot she's been in the sack lately, and that's because she gets worked up by Thomas, and then she comes home to Liam. And so Liam's naivete, because he's just continuing to stare at Thomas and suspect him when the problem is much closer to home, is very typical Liam, because he is stubborn. So in this confrontation between Steffy and Hope, she convinces Steffy, at least for now, that she is not turning into Brooke Logan, that what she saw was innocent, and that Steffy's making a mountain out of a molehill. And so Steffy finally backs off and says, okay, yeah, that's possible. Maybe I was reading something into it that wasn't there. So Hope is able to convince her. And that's fresh off Hope basically throwing sofa sacks at Liam to get him to calm down. So she is placating him and also kind of placating herself, like, oh no, I don't really want Thomas. I want my husband. I'm going to go home and sleep with him to convince myself. But then her mind is on Thomas again. So clearly this is all going to come to a head during May sweeps. And it's going to start this week when Hope and Thomas get stuck out of town on a business trip in San Francisco together, and their flight is delayed, and she's freaking out because she's very tempted, and that will carry over into next week, the week of May 15th. But Brooke Logan's name did not only come up today between Steffy and Hope on the most recent episode, but you may remember Wyatt and Liam were talking about Brooke. where Liam was telling his brother how he's, really keeping an eye on Thomas and he's going to be on top of him and he knows that nobody can actually change themselves that fast. But then Liam also displays some hubris where he says that, oh, Hope would never be unfaithful to me, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Liam has been unfaithful to her and he's been unfaithful to Steffy with each other. So for him to think that he's done something that Hope would never do, and of course Liam considers himself beyond reproach. So it's all very interesting. And he basically is pretty smug talking to Wyatt about how, not Hope. She would never do anything like that. And then Wyatt brings up her mom and he brings up Brooke Logan's past. And he says, I've heard all the stories, because remember, Wyatt and Liam both came to town as adults, and that's when they found out Bill Spencer was their father. So these guys weren't around during the Brooke's bedroom days and a lot of her stuff. But Wyatt does bring it up, and so we keep getting these reminders of Brooke's sketchy past, her, Skank of the Valley past. And what's interesting is just how Liam is completely unconcerned with the idea that Hope might ever want any man aside from him. That seems pretty egotistical, especially considering how he's waffled back and forth between her and her stepsister for a long time. And you remember when Thomas was trying to reassure him the other day, that was the day that Hope fell on him, and Thomas said, even if Hope came on to me, even if she flirted with me, I wouldn't do anything. I'm over her. And Liam just exploded. And he basically told Thomas, you're deluded if you think that she would ever take a second look at you. Well, she's taken second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and sixth looks at Thomas lately. And Liam remains in the dark. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our updates on Bold and the Beautiful, so you can stay current on everything happening on your favorite CBS soap opera. So also remember that Brooke Logan had that talk with Hope at her house about how, I'm so glad that you weren't like me. Basically saying, oh, I'm so glad, Hope, that you're a good girl and you're not, sketchy like I was back in the past. And that had Hope thinking, I feel like I'm speculating on her inner dialogue, but maybe Hope's thinking, have I missed out on something by always playing it safe? Stuff like that. Deep down, is she really more like her mother than anyone suspects? And is Hope Logan going to break bad soon and channel Brooke Logan and do something really, really naughty with Thomas? A lot of people are cheerleading Hope and Thomas because they're not fans of the way Liam has treated her over the years. And a lot of people hate the idea of Hope and Thomas. So we'll have to wait and see. It feels like they're building up to it and Hope and Thomas are really going to do something. But if you think about the history of Brad Bell's writing, he likes to build up to these big things that should be this big climax to the storyline, that something big and twisty should happen. Somebody should confront somebody should punch somebody, and he'll build up to it. And then he just whips out in the writing and everything falls apart and it doesn't reach the climax that storytelling should. And instead they just wuss out of something. That's what I've seen for watching Bold and the Beautiful for a long time. And I'm really worried that they're going to build up to this Thomas and Hope thing and then just go, meh, let's forget about it. So tell us in the comments what you think and whether you want to see Thomas with Hope, whether you want to see Hope turn into a lusty wench like Brooke used to be back in the day. We'll have to wait and see what happens on Bold and the Beautiful.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.